Welcome to the 8th episode of Beyond Retirement Learning Series. It's sponsored by Senior Edge Legal, and I'm Susan Graham. I'm a certified elder law attorney based in Boise, Idaho. Today we're going to talk about protecting the assets for your surviving spouse and your children after you die. This will take approximately 20 minutes. I understand your goal is to gather information and see if I might be a good member for your team. And my goal is threefold: to give you good information to help you have a secure future, to also provide you with free legal forms, and lastly, to give you a way to contact me if you would like to come and talk to me about your own estate plan. There is an evaluation form at the bottom of your screen, so you can fill that out anytime, either during this program or at the end. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about protecting assets for your family after you die. Let's talk about a surviving spouse first. One of the ways you can do that is when you die, you can say your portion of the estate goes into an irrevocable trust for the benefit of the surviving spouse. You can set it up so that that spouse is actually the manager of those monies, or someone else would be the manager. You can say that that spouse gets all the income from that trust, and if need be, take even the principal. And the reason some people do this is, of course, for death taxes, which we're not going to be talking about today, but also to protect that spouse if they have creditor problems, and also make it possible, if they should need Medicaid or VA benefits, that those funds that are in that irrevocable trust will be ignored for those benefits, and that will allow more assets to be saved and available for the healthy or the surviving spouse's use. It also protects those funds against creditors of the surviving spouse if they have difficulties, financial difficulties, or if they end up in bankruptcy. And lastly, it makes it easier for that surviving spouse to deal with the new honey that comes along. And if that spouse should remarry, it provides great protection so that the new honey or the new spouse of your surviving spouse has no access to those funds. So that's one technique that you can use to help protect the money for your surviving spouse. Another thing that you can do for, let's say you have a large retirement account and you want that spouse to get your IRA, but you don't want, when that spouse dies, whatever's left in that IRA to go to their new honey or to disinherit your own children, because your intention may be that when that surviving spouse dies, whatever's left over in that retirement account would go to your children. It's possible to sign a contract with a surviving spouse when you're setting up your estate plan to assure that, yes, the surviving spouse has access to those retirement funds, but upon the death of your surviving spouse, it cannot be changed. The beneficiary will still stay the way you want, which would be to your children. Another method for protecting assets for your children is to consider setting up a trust that protects your children's inheritance from you from creditors. What I'm talking about is an irrevocable asset protection trust. It has lots of different names. It's called a dynasty trust, an inheritance trust, a heritage trust, an heirloom trust. I don't care what you call it. It's an asset protection trust. So when you die, instead of giving $300,000 directly to that child, instead that $300,000 will drop into an irrevocable trust. This is legal magic. What it is, it truly is a trust, and it will have a tax ID number. It's a separate taxable entity. And you can even make it that the one who manages that trust, the trustee of that trust, the employee of that trust, is your child. Or you can again have somebody else do that, maybe for the child's lifetime, or at least until the child is age 30, when they might be more financially responsible. The child, you can make it very generous that the money's available for that child's needs in whatever manner they want to spend it. The standard we use in the legal system is called health support, maintenance, and education. Those four words are a brick wall between that child and the rest of the world. So if the child has a car accident and owes $100,000 that's not covered by insurance to the person that they injured in that car accident, and that person comes to your child and says, I know you've got $300,000 in that trust, give me $100,000 for what you owe me, the child can say, no, go away. And there's no way that that creditor can force the money to come out of that trust. These are very valuable and very strong protections for your children. The only person that can create it for your child is you. A child cannot create it for themselves. So if you, when you die, give the $300,000 to a child, that's fine, and they can do whatever they want with it. But those assets, that $300,000, will not be protected from the child's creditors. If instead that $300,000 went into this irrevocable asset protection trust that you set up during your lifetime, the child can be the trustee of that if you want. There's a new tax ID number. The child can invest the money in any manner they like, take out whatever they want whenever they choose to, if you want to make it that broad. But when somebody is beating on the door saying, give me the money, they can't get it. The funds that are in these asset protection trusts are protected from divorces, from lawsuits, creditors, and bankruptcy. These can go on for future generations if that's what you decide. And you can give the child the power to change who it's going to go to, or you can limit it and say, no, when that child dies, whatever's left in there goes to the deceased child's children, your grandchildren. There's lots of flexibility with these trusts, but that's just one of many techniques that are possible to protect the assets, the inheritance that your spouse and your children receive from you when you die. Now, if you would, fill out that evaluation form at the bottom of your screen, and then if you choose to meet with me, indicate that. If you want to access the free forms, that's possible by just indicating that on the evaluation form, and certainly please critique me so I can continue to improve and offer topics that might be of interest to you in the future. Thank you very much for spending your time with me.